Time for the bird's eye view. 2024 49ers draft class entering year 3.
That means that we'll finally be able to fairly evaluate the likes of Ricky Pearsall because the sample will be big enough. Sample on this walk is going to be awesome too. Look at the beautiful, colorful buildings of Prague and the noon bells coming from the cathedral. We can walk around the front side of this church as we discuss this 49ers 2024 draft class wide receivers posted last year in 2025. Ricky Pearsall, number 2, behind only Malik Neighbors, who tore his ACL and just had to have a cleanup surgery. This is Ricky Pearsall's full season number, which also includes the time that he was hurt, which was most of the campaign. Ricky Pearsall was actually at 2.28 yards per route run over the first 4 games of the season before he suffered the PCL injury. So, yes, I think that you could put 2 and 2 together. Ricky Pearsall would have ranked number 1 of all 2024 draft class wide receivers in yards per route run, which is a much more fair way to measure things than raw yardage. It's going to include every single time the receiver also wasn't targeted, so he's got to get open in order to register here. It's not just a volume stat. Ricky Pearsall would have ranked number 1 of all wide receivers in the 2024 draft class. Why is this important? Well, Ricky Pearsall, if he can stay on the field, has already shown that he can get open and that he can be a very, very effective wide receiver for the 49ers. It is as simple as that. And now Ricky Pearsall should have the benefit of an ex-wide receiver to help him get open in Mike Evans. Early on in 2024, Ricky would have had that, but remember that his NFL debut after getting shot happened to come during the very game where Brandon Aiyuk tore his ACL, week 7 of the 2024 season. So Pearsall and Aiyuk never really overlap. Pearsall has not had a true X wide receiver to help him out. That X is going to play the split end position and take the opponent's best cornerback. He's going to draw safety help, and Ricky Pearsall can play the flanker spot where he is best. And that should allow Ricky to spring open at the line of scrimmage and deliver in a way that the 49ers anticipated that he would deliver when they drafted him out of Florida in 2024. Here's a nice modern tram, the number 11 in Prague. Making our way, we're going to go through one of these neighborhoods here as we discuss the entire 2024 49ers draft class, a progress report, if you will. I think I'm actually going to even walk this way. We can walk down the tram tracks. You could see the church. This is called Náměstí Míru, which means Peace Square here in Prague. It's always hilarious to me that people try to create the draft grades the second that a draft has wrapped up. You haven't even seen the players deliver in the National Football League yet. Players haven't even set foot on an NFL field yet, and you're trying to determine the results of a known crapshoot like the NFL draft by continued guesswork. I mean, you're guessing heading into the draft, and then you're just guessing about the grades heading out of the draft. So 3 seasons is a good amount of time to be able to actually put some grades on these 49ers classes. I would say that, we have 3 seasons for 2023 under the belt, and not pretty for the 49ers, but they changed their process entering 2024, started leaning more heavily on these relative athletic scores, and it does appear that this one can end up grading out well, assuming that these guys like Pearsall can stay healthy. You look at Renardo Green as we make our walk here down American Street in Prague. The numbers for Renardo last year were not bad. One thing that the 49ers really like about him is that he can tackle. The missed tackle rate of only 5.7% led all of their cornerbacks. It's actually been a good 2 years of tackling for Renardo Green. Now, did Kyle Shanahan chew him out during the playoff loss against the Seattle Seahawks? Yes, we all saw that happen. Did any 49er, maybe outside of Brock Purdy, play well in Seattle? Not really. I mean, the 49ers got roughhoused against the Seattle Seahawks. And yes, Renardo Green was not perfect in 2025, but a 1.1 allowance yards per cover snap is just right around average. And the 49ers didn't have much of a pass rush to work with against anybody last year with only those 20 sacks. So they have broadcast their belief in Renardo Green, and I see no reason why he shouldn't be a better corner this year with the 49ers operating with a better pass rush. There are a lot of reasons to believe that Renardo Green can continue to develop into a plus player for the 49ers, and he's certainly not a bust by any stretch. He has started 2 seasons for the 49ers coming out of that NFL draft and has given them relatively solid cornerback play so far, and obviously under Raheem Morris, you would like that to graduate to the next level. Then there's the third round pick from 2024, and that is Dominic Puni. Now, I think everybody agrees this has been a good pick for the 49ers, and I think that everybody agrees that 2025 wasn't quite as good as 2024. And then I think that it's fairly easy to understand why. Look, there's cafes on every corner of this little town square, along with the water insert. Warm day here, by the way, 84 degrees. I think that people were in jackets just a week ago or so. Not anymore, though. It warmed up by the time we got here. Matches the colors of all these beautiful buildings very well. Anyway, Dominic Puni, somebody who just showed up and was the 49ers' best interior offensive lineman immediately after taking the field as a rookie in 2024. I'm going to be talking with Lance Leipold, who's the coach of the University of Kansas, here in the next few days. I talked to him back in 2024 after the 49ers drafted Puni, but now they've drafted another Kansas product for the offensive line, and that is Enrique Cruz Jr. Now, he did not overlap with Puni, and they're different positions. Cruz is obviously a tackle, and Puni's a guard, but I can't wait to check back in and talk some more Dominic Puni, because the knee injury that he's suffered in the preseason against the Raiders really clearly hurt him in 2025, and it's going to be cool to get some insight from a coach who knows him well to kind of glean how he might bounce back. You could take a look at these sidewalk stones on the ground in Prague, all meticulously laid to create these cool patterns. So they got some of the most beautiful sidewalks in the world here, just on random back streets, which is really neat. Even on random back streets, this is the type of stuff that you won't see in America architecturally, but you've got your columns, you've got your colors, the paint jobs are awesome. We're actually this is gonna be neat. We're gonna see an old historical building here in a second, but first we're gonna talk about Malik Mustapha, 49ers safety. He allowed only 0.12 yards per cover snap, which is insanely good his rookie year in 2024. Missed tackle rate was solid that year too, around 13%. Both numbers got significantly worse in 2025. But 2 things. A, Malik tore his ACL when coming off of the 2024 season in the final game of that 2024 season at Arizona. And 2, Malik Mustapha was playing behind that terrible pass rush last year for the 49ers, so safety play as a whole was worse for the 49ers. So the question is, what is he going to do in 2026? Here, we've got a former house of the first president of Czechoslovakia after the country was founded in the early 20th century. Now, this first president of Czechoslovakia, last name Masaryk, he's got a bust in Golden Gate Park in San Francisco in the Rose Garden. And he had a wife who was American, was from the United States. At one point, he lived in that villa, that house that is beyond this fence. We continue, though, to Isaac Guerendo. Now, at this point, the first 4 picks of this draft, Pearsall, Green, Puni, and Mustapha, all these guys have started games for the 49ers. All of them, I think, there's a reasonable expectation that they're going to be productive players for the 49ers, which already by itself would make this draft class successful. If you can get 4 starters, successful starters out of a draft class, well, you're going to be happy with it. And the 49ers, I believe, here entering year 3 are on very, very solid track to have that become a reality. Then you head on to their 5th pick, also a 4th rounder in Isaac Guerendo. And this is obviously somebody who played a lot more as a rookie in 2024 than he did in 2025 when he didn't get a single carry, and he was even demoted, taken off of the kick return team. So what's the deal with Guerendo? Does he have a chance to beat out Kalon Black? Does he have a chance to even beat out Jordan James? Because James passed him on the depth chart last year. Not looking good for Isaac Guerendo. I think, he's a track star. We know that, right? I don't mean that literally, although I'm sure if he showed up at a track meet, then he would dominate because of how fast he is. But Guerendo is one of those relative athletic score prospects whom the 49ers took a 4th-round dice roll on. It's not a huge dice roll, but they spent the 4th-round pick on him. I don't think that he's a natural running back. And even in college, it was thought that he was a bit of a tweener, which is why they moved him from receiver to running back. And he's been able to catch some passes and deliver on the ground for the 49ers when they needed him to as a reserve in 2024. But I don't think that the vision and the dependability of Isaac Guerendo is up to par with other running backs whom the 49ers have added. It's not all about the 40 that they run at this level. It's not all about the weight and the momentum that you could bring, because you can run a fast 40, a 4.3 at 220 pounds. It's also about that vision. It's also about dependability and pass protection. And last year it was interesting because Guerendo didn't get to play because the 49ers didn't have any injuries at running back during the season. It was McCaffrey and Brian Robinson throughout the whole year. Normally, they're going to see more attrition there, so guys like Guerendo would have gotten time. We'll see if he makes the roster this year and does actually see time for the 49ers, but the bottom line is that Isaac Guerendo is probably going to be below a Jordan James and a Kalon Black on the depth chart behind Christian McCaffrey. Here's some steps moving down. We're going to stay up here, though. I don't want to lose elevation just after gain. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of the view, because I know that in San Francisco a couple weeks ago, we found all the hidden staircases. Well, there definitely is one here in Prague as well. We talk about the relative underperformance of that 2024 receiver class. Well, Jacob Cowing hasn't even really had a chance to register. He didn't play last year, but hasn't even had a chance to register as a qualifier in the yards per route run. But again, one more time, just looking at this, unbelievable, right? Ricky Pearsall even injured at a 1.68, which is a solid yard per route run. It's not great, but ranked numbers 2 out of all those guys. And he's probably the only at the top of all the healthy guys right now, because Malik Neighbors just had that surgery. But somebody like Marvin Harrison Jr., remember the drop problems last year. Brian Thomas Jr. had a good first year, fell off his second season. Inconsistency from Ladd McConkey as well. Guys like Malachi Corley not even on his original team anymore. So in the large picture, Ricky Pearsall actually totally holds his own against all of these receivers. Now it's a question of, will Jacob Cowing be able to do the same with his speed in a much more crowded 49ers receiver room right now? Jared Kingston, no longer on the team, hadn't seen much NFL action at all after the 49ers waived him, and Tatum Bethune. Linebacker, you got starts out of your 7th-round pick. We'll see where Tatum Bethune ends up in the pecking order now for the 49ers in a much more crowded linebacker room in 2026, but they've already gotten more than you'd expect out of a 7th-round draft pick with him starting some games in 2025. Anyway, big picture, 49ers, again, those top 4 picks, I think, are on solid trajectories for San Francisco. And then you see what you get out of the bottom of this draft class. But we're going to be able to give the 49ers 2025 draft class a very firm grade after this season, after we have that sample size in the books. And I don't think it's going to be a bad haul. And this was one that they needed to be good entering that draft, coming off of tough hauls in 2022, of course, with the exception of Brock Purdy, and 2023. So those were both smaller drafts due to the Trey Lance trade, no 1st-round picks. 2024, looking a whole lot better. I think it's probably time to let go of all the hand-wringing regarding that 2024 draft, but we're going to see so much over the course of this next season. 2025, well, let's come back a year from now and do a video about 2025 as we prepare for year 3 of that class, because it takes some patience to be able to properly grade these things. You cannot just give grades out the second that a draft ends. From Prague, I wanted to make sure that you guys got the big picture view at the very end.